With over 300 neighborhoods in Silicon Valley to choose from, how do you determine which one's the best for you? Today, I'm going to tell you about the best and worst neighborhoods in Silicon Valley. So if you're thinking about purchasing a home in the Silicon Valley, this video is for you. But let's be clear, the best and the worst neighborhood can be defined differently by everybody. You're going to want to think about different things such as like the budget, commute time, where you work, and maybe even where your kids go to school. So this is an overview, but I've also done separate videos on my channel that go to each of these cities and neighborhoods in depth. So our first tier, I'll call it thankful to be in Silicon Valley. So for tier 5, we're talking about some of the most affordable areas that are technically still in Silicon Valley. Places such as East San Jose, Alum Rock, and South San Jose. So these neighborhoods offer the most accessible price points if you want to live within the Silicon Valley boundaries. But there are definitely trade-offs to be aware of. These areas are diverse with a strong sense of community, as you find some of the best food in the South Bay, from authentic taquerias to family-run Vietnamese spots. They're also well connected by freeways and BART extensions. So for folks commuting to other parts of the valleys, it can be manageable if you're timing it right, regarding schools, costs, specific restaurants, and all of that. They're also well connected by the freeway and BART. So for folks commuting to other parts of Silicon Valley, it can be manageable as long as you avoid the rush hour. Now, for some home buyers or those priced out in the central tech hubs, often look here as a way to enter the housing market, especially if you're okay with a little bit older house or a little bit more house that needs some work. However, there is a reason why these neighborhoods are at a lower price point, as these neighborhoods struggle with underinvestment, such as worse infrastructure, lower rated schools, and city services often lag behind other parts of Silicon Valley. Street conditions and public cleanliness can be hit or miss, and some areas do experience higher crime rates. School ratings can be also uneven, depending on the school district, and many buyers find that they need to look carefully at the school ratings block by block. Now for the right buyer, someone looking for some more value, with some tolerance for some uneven conditions, willing to do more work on the house, this tier can actually offer a lot of bang for your buck, because after all, you're still in Silicon Valley. Now as next tier, I'm going to call BART and beyond, as these are neighborhoods that enter the public transportation system here in the Bay Area, known as BART, which connects the entire Bay Area. So tier 4 includes neighborhoods such as North San Jose, Milpitas, Newark, Fremont, and parts of Berryessa. And these areas are a step up in terms of infrastructure and livability, while still remaining relatively affordable compared to the core tech hubs. They're often seen as solid entry points into home ownership for tech workers who want to stay within reach of the Silicon Valley but don't have $2 to $3 million to spend. The homes in these areas often range from older ranch-style homes to newer townhomes and condos, and many neighborhoods have a suburban feel, quiet streets, local parks, and a decent mix of families and younger professionals. Here, you're more likely to get a garage, small yard, and some actual breathing room. It's not fancy, but it's livable. Now, some newer developments in Milpitas and North San Jose offer modern amenities such as community gyms or shared green space, which appeals to young couples or first-time home buyers. That said, these areas aren't quite there yet, as the public schools can be a mixed bag, some great, some less so. Commutes can also be tough if you're heading north during peak hours, especially along highways 101 and 880. Now the restaurant scene is really growing here, especially in Milpitas and Fremont, because I really personally think you got the best Asian food here in the Bay Area, mainly because it's more affordable compared to the rest of the Bay Area. Now it might not be quite the level of Palo Alto or Mountain View in terms of fine dining, but in terms of affordable food options, I think this tier really has the best food here in the entire Bay Area. Overall, tier 4 neighborhoods are where many tech workers land when they're priced out of the peninsula, but still want reasonable access to jobs in a livable environment. It's not glamorous, but it's practical for a lot of first-time home buyers, and it's a very solid move. Alright, tier 3 is where we're going to start getting into the heart of Silicon Valley proper, neighborhoods such as Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, Willow Glen, Cambrian Park, and Campbell. Living here means you're right in the thick of the tech world. You're close to major tech campuses such as Apple, Google, Nvidia, and Meta. These neighborhoods are well kept, walkable in parts, and often just a short drive or even a bike ride from the office. You're no longer Silicon Valley adjacent, you're right in it. Now in terms of housing, it's only very modest. You're going to see a lot of 1950s and 60s ranch style homes that range from $1.5 to $2.5 million, depending on the lot size, the school district, and proximity to tech campuses. Now many homes have been updated, but a lot of them still have those original layouts, so you'll see a lot of small kitchens, small bathrooms, and often low ceilings. There are a lot of newer townhomes and condos though, and those are super popular with the young professionals who don't want to commute from further out. Here, you'll find a noticeable shift in lifestyle here. The streets are quieter, there are more Tesla chargers in the driveways, cafes are not only filled with lattes, but laptops. There's a bit more polish, the grocery stores are clean, parks are nicely well maintained, and the schools tend to rank well across the board. The public services are also strong, and there's often a sense of security that comes from the steady presence of a well-funded, tech-employed population. Now, the trade-off, you're paying a premium for access, not luxury, as most homes in this tier are not large, and most people here are still working. Not rich enough to retire early, but well paid enough to keep up with a hefty mortgage and stay in the loop professionally. It's also a very highly competitive housing market here, as even smaller homes can spark bidding wars. And this is where dual income couples often land after a few years in Tier 4. Also, schools in this tier are generally solid, but not elite, such as Palo Alto or Cupertino, but definitely above average and often good enough to keep young families from fleeing to private school options. So overall, Tier 3 neighborhoods offer a great balance of location, decent housing, strong schools, and good resale value, even if you're not getting the granite countertops and mountain views. It's a tier built on stability and proximity, and for many people in Silicon Valley, that's worth every dollar. The next tier I want to call it surviving and thriving, as Tier 2 include neighborhoods that are highly desirable and well established, but not quite at the top of the prestige ladder. Think Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Los Altos, Mountain View, Cupertino, Saratoga, and Los Gatos. These are areas where many senior engineers, directors, startup founders, and early employees at major tech companies choose to settle, especially those with kids. The homes here are bigger, the schools are all top ranked, and the vibe leaves more suburban and residential with just enough commercial infrastructure to feel connected. You'll notice a clear jump in housing stock here, as homes often range from $2.5 to $5 million here, depending on the size, lot, and walkability. And many homes here are well maintained, tastefully renovated, or newly built. Mature trees line the streets, lawns are manicured, and there's a quiet confidence in the architecture. Nothing too flashy, but definitely expensive. You might see original Eichlers, or mid-century modern ranches, or newer Mediterranean style builds. Design language here says comfortably successful, but not trying to impress you. Cupertino in particular draws a lot of young families because of the top-ranked schools such as Monte Vista and Lynbrook High School, but also its proximity to Apple headquarters in Cupertino. Now, Menlo Park and Los Altos, on the other hand, attract those who want a little bit more space, a little bit more privacy, but a lifestyle that blends old money with new money tech. You're not far from Sand Hill Road, Stanford University, or venture capital firms, and that prestige filters into the local culture. Now, living here does come with expectations. You're likely dealing with a large mortgage, property taxes, and possibly remodel fatigue, even if your income is well into the mid-six figures. Neighborhoods here are quieter, but not necessarily very walkable, as you'll often drive to your gym, your coffee shop, or your kids' piano lessons. But in return, you get a strong sense of stability, great resale value, and a community of professionals who made it in Silicon Valley standards, even if they're still working hard. So, in short, Tier 2 is for people who aren't just surviving the valley, they're thriving in it. Yes, they may not be billionaires yet, but they cleared every financial hurdle it takes to be comfortable here. They've locked into a lifestyle that many others in the Silicon Valley are still chasing. Now, this final tier, I'm going to call IPO Island, as Tier 1 is rare air in Silicon Valley, home to cities such as Atherton, Los Altos Hills, Old Palo Alto, and Woodside. These are the most exclusive, most expensive, and often most private neighborhoods here in Silicon Valley. This is where generational wealth, unicorn founders, and multi-fund venture capitalists live. People for whom success in tech wasn't just a job title, but a liquidity event. Now, homes in this tier typically start around $6 to $8 million and can easily stretch into the tens of millions. You're not just paying for square footage here, you're paying for seclusion, prestige, and architectural presence. Think long gated driveways, full guest house, private vineyards, underground garages, wellness spas, infinity pools, and design teams from Europe. And these homes are often invisible from the street and built for privacy. Now, your neighbor may be a CEO, crypto founder, legacy wealth, or even some celebrity or royalty level international builders. But beyond the property itself, what really defines Tier 1 is its complete insulation from the rest of Silicon Valley. You don't worry about commute time. You probably have a driver, your groceries are delivered, and you're not concerned with school ratings as your kids go to private school, possibly even in another county. It's a lifestyle that's more Napa than NorCal suburb. That said, Tier 1 isn't all show, as many of these homeowners are deeply embedded in the Silicon Valley's power structure. They fund startups, sit on boards, and help shape the future of industries. They're not necessarily flashy, in fact, quite the opposite, as this wealth tier is known for being low-key, quiet, and generational. You won't see ostentatious displays, but the influence is everywhere. So, living in Tier 1 means that not only you made it, but you exit the game entirely, or play at a level where most people don't even know the rules. For the mass majority of people in Silicon Valley, this tier exists behind closed gates and tree-lined drives, a symbol of what's possible, but rarely accessible. And that's exactly the point. Now let me know in the comments what you think of these tiers. Did I get it right, or did I totally miss the mark on your neighborhood? And if you want to learn more about what it's really like to live in the Bay Area, check out some other videos on my channel. Also, I'm also a local real estate agent here based in the Bay Area, so if you're looking for more personal insight or want someone to talk through your situation, feel free to book a time with me on my calendar. The link will be in the description below. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.